This spacing hearing be at approximately 10:05 a.m. This special hearing is called to order.
It's a regular hearing, not a special hearing.
Oh, sorry. Regular hearing is called to order. I apologize. With regard to rare earth, can I have a roll call of commissioners? Frank
Bill Nation's on the phone.
Okay. Frank Thorwald.
Bill Fire-Robin.
Stephen Cooper.
We have a majority here. Let us get started. Dennis, would you please explain the issues and what's going on?
Rare Earth Exploration LLC applied for a drilling application to drill out in southern Navajo County in Township 15 North, Range 22 East, Section 12. And the location of the well requires a hearing for a spacing exception because they are outside of the setback limits prescribed by the rules. So typically what we have is a hearing. The operator comes to a hearing and presents his justification for needing the spacing exception. We have discussion and the commission votes. So I guess at this point I'll turn it over to Brad Haycraft of Rare Earth.
All right. My name is Brad Haycraft, Rare Earth Exploration. Rare Earth Exploration would like to formally request a spacing exemption for a proposed helium test well to be drilled to a potential total depth of 1,875 feet, 689 feet from the south line, 650 feet from the east line of Section 12, and as Dennis said, Township 15 North, Range 22 East of the G and SRM survey in Navajo County. We would like to drill this well to test the Supai conglomerate for the presence of commercial quantities of helium. This conglomerate is a highly porous and permeable sedimentary rock. It's composed of rounded fragments. It is a water-driven formation and it has a distinct water-gas contact point. Drilling too low on structure would result in failure of the well, failure to be able to produce the well due to water invasion. So we would like to request the exemption in an effort to increase the likelihood of drilling into the structural high of the Supai formation there and avoiding this water contact point. The offsetting landowner that happens to own both the surface and minerals on the south, east, and southeast, all sections that border our section here of interest, they have been informed of our intentions with no objection to my knowledge.
Who are those landowners?
That is Hunt Potash. It's Bill Phillips, H&Z Potash. Yeah. Bill Phillips out of Dallas. And they own the surface and the minerals.
Other permits that you've already gotten?
For past wells?
No, for this current one or applying for?
Here in Arizona, how many wells have you drilled in Arizona?
2.
And I meant on this particular drilling site, have you applied for other permits? Are there?
Just the land department, surface surface usage permit from the Arizona Land Department.
DEQ permits with regard to water, aquifers, anything?
I do have my permit on file here with DEQ.
What would that be?
My application.
Well, that's with the Oil and Gas Commission. Your application to drill?
My application to drill, yes.
That's with us, the
Okay.
Oil and Gas Commission. That's
yes.
not ADQ.
ADQ, okay.
I'm not aware that they need a permit from the Department of Environmental Quality for an aquifer protection permit.
May I inquire, do you anticipate, or is there any indication in the permit of possible stimulation?
No.
Then I don't think they need an APP permit because there's no indication of stimulation.
Okay.
no fracking, no artificial stimulation, all natural completion.
Okay. What are you drilling, or water, or?
We're using air and possibly foam.
Was there any additional complaints or issues associated with this?
Yeah, I received an email this morning from Lisa Tess.
She's on the phone, by the way.
Right. Complaining that there apparently had been a spill at a previous drill site called the 24-1. It was drilled on the floodplain of the Parco River in the summer of 2017 and plugged and abandoned in the summer of 2017. I inspected the site after drilling had ceased, coincidentally on the day that the contractor was out there to install the permanent marker for plug and abandonment. Inspected the site, took photographs. When I saw no evidence of any spill, the area had been for oil and gas? Yes. The area had been planed off, cleared off for using
Excuse me, just one. Could you sign in, please?
Oh, absolutely.
You're trying to stay for both meetings. Sign both. You're going to stay for both meetings.
Yeah, I can see them.
Here's the hearing that we're doing right now.
Okay.
Can I comment?
One moment, he's not finished, I'm sorry.
Sorry, Lisa. A couple interruptions here.
Go ahead, Dennis.
Stumbling all over myself. So, anyway, to recap, I was out at the site for an inspection at the time that the plug and abandon marker was being installed. And all I saw was evidence that the drill site had been there, the area had been scraped off, and then what little topsoil was preserved had been restored to that site, and there was nothing else to see. There was no evidence of any kind of a spill. I don't know what could have possibly spilled out there that would have engulfed an acre or more of land. They weren't using drilling mud, they were drilling with air and foam, which is typically what you do when looking for helium in this part of the country. Anyway, I have an inspection report. Lisa, if you're interested, I could email that to you. That's my findings from about 2 years ago.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if we're talking about the same place. If you look close on the...
Let me interrupt for just a minute. Ms. Test, can you hold on a minute, please? Ms. Test, hold on just a minute, because it's public comment, you're going to get 3 minutes, and I would rather have a constant 3 minutes than any back and forth. So I want to make sure Mr. Turner and Mr. Haycraft are done with their comments first before you have a chance for yours.
The only other site that rare earth is drilled that I'm aware of, I have not inspected, and that's out near Heber. 5 miles north of Heber?
Yes, sir.
Kind of just off the highway to the west.
Yes, exactly.
What's that site look like? Is it surrounded by a lot of shrubs, scrub juniper and stuff like that?
Yeah.
Or is it open like
It's
just 24-1 was?
Yeah, it's open. It's just on the east side of what I call the green belt that comes down, from northwest Arizona to southeast. When you just get going east, you just get outside of it, and it kind of starts turning into desert again. It's in that area, so it looks virtually exactly like the first site we drilled, the 24-1.
Oh, it does. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I've not been out there. So.
Now there was on that site a lot of fresh water that was produced from the Upper Coconino sand, but all fresh water. It would make a great freshwater well for someone, at some point if we decide, or if we end up not completing that well. Right now we have an extension to get it completed. Yeah, we float a lot of fresh water, no salt content into the pits, so I'm quite sure that one's going to take a while to drill out. And it might have the illusion of some sort of spill, but I can assure you that is all fresh water.
I'm done. I don't know what else to add.
Mr. Turner, you're done. Mr. Haycraft, you're done.
Yes, sir.
Lisa.
Hold on, we have a question from a board member before.
Yeah.
Okay. So you talked about who bounds you to the south, southeast, and east.
Yes.
Who bounds you to the north?
To the north is BLM Mineral, and I own those leases.
Okay. Now, what formation does this drill hole collar in? It's an 1,800-foot drill hole.
Well, we're trying to drill at least down through the Supine Formation, or get maybe halfway down into it. I don't know where we'll stop exactly. That's why I say up to 1,875 feet.
Yeah,
Because once we encounter a helium show, we'll stop.
sure, okay.
And it could be in reality, it could be the Shinarump. We could complete it as shallow as 800 feet. If we encounter helium in the Shinarump, if we encounter helium in the lower Coconino, we'll stop there.
So you'll be drilling all of those formations en route to your
Supine.
to your target?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Commissioners, does anyone else have a question?
Thank you.
I could point out, for those interested, there is a map for reference on the screen here that shows from the lease sale that BLM had last September, the area with the circle is the area where Mr. Haycraft is drilling, and that blue strip of land on the south end of the section that's circled, sort of a sideways L. It looks white on the screen, but it's a light blue. That's the land that Mr. Haycraft leased from state land. The hatchered yellow stuff to the north is the BLM land. It's my understanding, Mr. Haycraft, that you leased that land as well. You leased
Yes.
the whole section, in other words.
I have those leases with me.
And then HNZ Potash has land to the south and east, right?
That's correct.
If you like, I can zoom it.
I have a question.
Go ahead, Dale.
I'm looking at that map, the section north of section 12, be section 1, is that potash ownership?
That is H&Z Potash also, yes.
Yeah, okay. So it's completely surrounded by potash leases.
That's correct.
Thank you, Commissioner Nations. Any other questions? Lisa, do you want to have your 3 minutes now?
I just basically want to say that if you zoom in on this picture that has the label of the location, you'll see that they crossed off the larger numbers and wrote in new numbers. So I am talking about the place that is south or north of Heber on the west side of a 377. And I was just wondering, like, other things can come up out of the well. Can we get this tested to see if this water was contaminated with other things? Because you can hit pockets of stuff that can cause damage on the surface. Even if. So anyway, I just think that it should be looked into. I think that's all I have to say.
Thank you, Lisa. Has DEQ, what's DEQ said about that?
Just for the record, I also represent the Arizona Department of Environmental Quality. Because the
Your name?
Rick Zeiss, Attorney General, Assistant Attorney General. I'm not the Attorney General. I also represent ADEQ. The only involvement with ADEQ in regards to this would be if either their stimulation, which would trigger an APP, or if there was
Water runoff.
stormwater prevention program and surface water. But I don't think that is necessary here. With that, I understand also that the staff administrator, Dennis Turner, has also worked for ADEQ. And I'm going to look to him, just from a technical perspective, would a water spill,
Would be of no concern.
would that trigger anything in regards to a stormwater prevention?
No.
A little louder, Dennis, please.
The simple answer to your question is no. I can expound a little bit. There's actually two different stormwater type of permits that might be of interest to the applicant if they needed it. The one we really should talk about is a construction stormwater permit. A permit is required for anybody that disturbs 1 acre or more of land. And so far in my tenure with the Oil and Gas Commission, I have not encountered a drill pad and its associated road that disturbed 1 acre or more of land, so therefore they do not need a construction general permit under the Arizona Pollutant Discharge Elimination System. If there was some kind of stormwater runoff and it was potentially impacting a drainage nearby, AZOGCC always has the right to go out and inspect and decide that a permit's needed or some other remedial action's needed, but I don't see anything in these photographs that would call for that. I will say, though, that this is not the site that I inspected. When I looked at the photographs very quickly, I did not see the fact that the sign's been crossed out. And Mr. Haycraft, I can tell you, you will have to get a different sign. That sign that's out there is unacceptable. You have to get a completely new sign. What you've got on there is, you basically took the other sign and moved it over here, and that's not acceptable. So you should get that corrected as quickly as possible. What we're looking at here, it's hard to tell. I mean, it looks typical of an area that's been cleared for drilling and then backfilled for whatever depressions were in it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the white stuff is. It's alkali leaching to the surface. I don't know.
Well, that's the pit right there. That's the water. That's all fresh water. It's just, I mean, it's.
I don't know when these pictures were taken.
I don't have my glasses on, but what looks like to me is that pit isn't completely dry there. That's a very soggy area.
Dennis, two questions for you. One, is there any other aquifers? We're talking about fresh water here, salt water, any other things that have been drilled through or that could affect the fresh water?
The Coconino, I don't remember what the depth of this well was or anything. Did you drill through the Coconino in this?
Yes.
Well,
that's where all the massive fresh water zone that we hit was. It's fresh water, and we kind of kept the option in our back pocket of actually turning that into a water well for the rancher there.
Did you case off the
Oh yeah.
Coconino?
Oh yeah. We ran casing all the way to total depth. We have 7-inch casing down to, and I'm just going off memory right now, but I believe 780 feet, and then 4.5-inch casing all the way to total depth.
Lisa, can you tell me what the date of these photographs is?
Yes, it was last June was when that was on there. Just give me a second. I can find out the exact date.
Did you take the pictures?
Yeah.
And do you remember what the site conditions were on the day you were there? Was it dry? Did it just rain or what?
It was dry.
There hadn't been any rain recently?
No.
Okay.
We didn't have any rain until August.
Okay. But you were there last June?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's good enough.
Dennis, when you get a chance, I think you should go and inspect that site. But obviously, that doesn't affect the request at hand. Commissioners, is there any other discussion on the spacing exception for rare earth?
Mr. Chair, just so that we're clear, we may want to make sure that if there are any other public comments before we have that discussion.
Okay. Is there any other public comments? Hearing none, is there any further discussion on rare earth spacing exception?
I have an opinion here.
Commissioner Nations?
Yeah, I think that they have submitted adequate geological information to justify this exception of spacing, and especially since there are no objections from adjacent property owners. So I move that we approve the application for spacing exception of the rare earth 12-1 well.
Any further discussion? Is there a second?
Why don't we have him restate it one more time for the record, please?
Okay. Dale, could you please restate that?
Yeah, well, part of my statement was to say that there is adequate geological information submitted to qualify for this. So now I move to approve the spacing exception as requested for the rare earth 12-1 well.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the exception, say aye.
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 The motion, any opposed? Any abstentions? The motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Hayward.
Adjourn the meeting.
And the hearing is adjourned.
Got to vote for adjournment.
Oh, that's right. Please, I move that we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. The motion carries. We're adjourned.